Good evening, people, and welcome back to the Clubrooms, where we here as Wise Up TV members able to unleash, able to let go, able to vent, are able to discuss. And look, it's great to have everyone in here this evening. Especially want to acknowledge the inspector for a very detailed analogy of the Sopranos, likening them, I think, from what I could read there, to the NRL. And, Mafia and the NRL, hey, they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand, my friend. So we'll get into that and we'll talk as much as we can about how the game, how it went down. For those that haven't watched, I did my little spiel on moments was the theme. And I kind of have rewatched the game. I've had another day to digest, and I still feel the same way about it. But we're going to get into your guys' thoughts, the channel members, the supporters of Wise Up TV. Our season comes to an end. Turn out the lights because no point in continuing. Yeah, it is Mad Monday, as Bailey is saying here. And Jazz, kia ora gang. Yes, my man Jazz, as always, coming in with that positivity. As Warriors going up to Canberra, almost tell us that RTS is going to sign the Saudis rugby. Who knows? Also, there are some positives around a young man. I forgot his first name, but he is, chat will help me, PJ Marshall's son. So there are things happening. Signings are starting to be made for next year. If he comes in, whose spot does he take? So there's, we're starting to get into off-season chatter, isn't it? Movements, player movements. We will get into that, and we'll get into as much as we can a deep dive of season review tomorrow night with Ash. That will be really good. So don't forget about that. But here we're just debriefing things, getting your guys' thoughts. Just quickly on that one, Adam. Yeah, maybe we get a confirmation of the Saudis jumping in and RTS, and maybe we are moving into a new direction. Then again, Cam Pereira, there are a lot of people that actually know quite a bit about his character and saying that maybe he's coming in as a development player. I've argued that 54 3 tries in 54 games, you're not really looking for development. So, but then again, you never know in these situations. He's maybe on the outer so much of the Titans that he actually needs to go back and kind of humble himself and readjust his game, and maybe that's the plan. But there's an interest there. For me, to go for Cam Pereira means you're going for a bit more of attacking, a bit more of speed, a bit more realizing that yes, you need yardage men in your back five, but you also need someone who can have that, and maybe you can develop him into a yardage guy as well. To me, watching the game, which was freezing, I have to say Nathan Cleary kicking game was dead. It was fantastic. I broke it down in my video. The variety of kicks that he had, it was just crazy. And that's my argument over just kicking. Just like our boys, we were just kicking it to get it up in the air to get our kick chase down in position. I felt as though Nathan was kicking it to actually create confusion, to create doubt in our back three. So he's a master. He's a master of the boot, and he got it done. My brother just said the Wires will shut them up when we win, and we could give them all the middle finger by beating the Panthers, which we could have done. We could have. There was a moment in time where we needed to seize, and we needed to take that. Yeah, the ABs. I heard the ABs got smashed. So that's the way it rolls in New Zealand. Sometimes you have that great, win all three levels or whatever. Like the missing piece or pieces. Yeah, we'll get into that definitely. And the Wahine Jazz, bang on. Cup boys got another second life, so be ready for that, guys. Coming up, I think this Saturday or Sunday, they got a second chance. They can rectify. The Wahine finished really strong too. It was really cool to see. AKP might need to be overseas to mature as a man. There's that side of it, isn't it, as well, guys? So it's a lot about development and working through things. I was putting the argument that actually, look at Aaron Clark. He was labeled as a sin bin guy, a hothead. And I don't think that was too much of the case, but with a bit of channeling of his energy and his game, he was turned out to be one of the best buy of the year for us. So there's things that can happen. Nelson, on the other hand, if you could change Nelson's patterns and behaviors, you might be a miracle worker with that one. But I think Nelson's probably too far gone in his game to warrant that. AKP needs to get away from the gold, yeah. And big up to my man Jazz with sharing some things, and I won't bring him here, but it's very eye opening as well that he's a player that needs to mature, and if he's going to crack on in his career, like I've said, he's got a great try scoring record, but that doesn't prove anything unless you're playing regular games and improving it on the field and being part of a winning culture. So for me, it's an opportunity for him to really crack on and take his career to another level because he might have that potential. So change the label, change the way people view you. There's opportunity here right in the coming into the peak of his career. He could really turn that. Passport man, hope you've been well. Good to see you. Lovely at centre, but Tamari should have been at 7. When he moved there, the Panthers were struggling to contain him. Yeah, there was that element. I thought actually Tanner Boyd did pretty well within his time frames. My concern with Tanner and even CHT is that the game seems to let them. They seem to let the game go by at times without kind of asserting themselves and placing an imprint on the game. I thought that there were some moments there that they could have handled better, or that they could have really turned the screws as such. And then you look on the opposite end, Nathan, he just turned the screws on and pull the trigger at the right times. It's kind of knowing when to pull the trigger, when to go, when not to. I think Tamaire has that tendency to pull the trigger. But a lot of these situations that he gets himself into is they're chasing points when they're 20 points behind, and that's not ideal for any half. He was fantastic actually as coming on as a lock. He if you were at the game, I'm not sure if it came across on the TV, but he really stiffened up that middle. He was jumping out of the line. He was trying his very best to contain that middle. So it was real good to see him. Also, Wade Egan's breaking down our Healy time in 26. Yeah, that's again, we're kind of coming into this transition phase and transition talk, guys. And I think that's going to be happening over the next few months. when is it the right time? And when is it the time to move on? What is that range that you say, hey, the veteran is now, the master is the apprentice is now outdoing their master. Um, and for me, it's like, yes, experience is great, but when the output isn't of the experienced player is lesser than the development player, that's where I start to side with, well, experience isn't fully giving the output that we need. For example, Aleka Halasima this year has been the out and out, barring Metcalf when he was fit. Aleka Halasima has been the one creating X factor moments for us. He's the one that's been scoring the tries. He's been turning games. So what has the experienced players been doing, so to say? You know what I mean? When a lot's depending on him to create something out of nothing, what is that saying about those that are more experienced than him? Some food for thought for next year. Is Licker a lock, or is he more better doing the off season as a center? He adds value out wide. We have a lot of lock with Gannon coming as well. For me, Licker, I still see him as a back row. I still see the value of him as a back row. Although the center experiment's been great, there's a lot more to the center game. And in a microcosm, that no look pass out to the wing and it went into the stands, that shows that his center game, he hasn't got that center game yet to develop the passing game. Now, not to say you couldn't develop that in the off season, but I think put you know put squares and square holes, whatever, round pegs and round holes. Keep him in there in his triple position. It's our responsibility as a club to go and find a center, or bring in a center that can be an action out and out center. Maybe you can develop him, but I just saw that when he made that pass that threw it into the stands, it was clear, like, he just hasn't had the reps there. He hasn't been looked as a center, and the club have chucked him in there, and he's done a great job. But I'm just thinking, we need to start setting him in his position. I don't believe either back rower has a out and out clear spot over him next year, whether that's Cape Ball on the left or Marata on the right. I think he has first dibs moving forward. I'd like to see that. So if he's an out and out back rower, he should stay there and develop as an out back rower. And the club's responsibility, if it's an injured Rocco Berry, that then we need to go find cover, or we need to get out Leotoa or Berry healthy. They need to hold their positions throughout the season, much like a Pompey can, who played all 24, I believe, or close to. So we should be trying our best to get as many healthy players as possible. And Gannon, as you said, is another one we're going to have to really look at. I don't think Will's the Storm. The Storm will want to offload his whole contract. I don't think, I've heard reports that the Storm hardly ever pay half and half. Yeah. We all feel your pain, Inspector. We all feel your pain. Oh, mate, that was a heartbreaker, wasn't it, for the Raiders? I really wanted the Raiders to win. In fact, that try, I thought Chevy Stewart tapped it back. I was like, oh, mate, what a great win. And then, nope. Every step of the way, the Raiders thought they'd won the game, and it got shut down. But yeah. Preseason training will be interesting with Metcalf, Cleary, Boyd, Team, and CHC. Who stands up for those two positions? Same with second row with Gannon coming over. Well, I think Metcalf's probably, for me, going to be not back to maybe April, unless he makes a really quick recovery. I would be managing his minutes even when he comes back in Cup for at least 3 to 4 weeks after an ACL. I'd be trying to just get him some reps. I think there's a tendency at the club medically that once they're right, even just through off contact training through normal training sessions, that they're okay. I think even with Metcalf, I'd give him 1 or 2 games at Cup at a 40-minute when he comes back. But if you're thinking about it, it's going to be Cleary, Boyd, TMM, and CHT. And maybe you're going to take TMM out of that because he's been used as a utility, and maybe Webby sees him as that. Gannon's the variable that he gives you a lot more cover, and maybe Gannon becomes that 14 role and pushes Tamaiti back. But yeah, there's going to be some. We're going to have to look carefully around what we're doing next year. And whoever takes that first, I'd say 8 weeks of the comp, they're going to have to try and get some points on the board. From what we're seeing, the start of years are better. So I'd expect us to get quite a few wins on the board if we stay healthy, even with a Tanner Boyd, and depending on the draw. But we want to start looking at the future as well. And for me, if Jet Cleary is ready, and for me, Tanner Boyd is a placeholder. He's there to hold the spot for whoever the club thinks is next in line to hold a starting position. And if that's Jet Cleary, then I'd expect Jet Cleary to have a shot at least halfway through the season, to at least get a crack at it. That's how I see it happening. If a young guy's ready, there have been so many young halves come through, and if they're in a good team and they can be managed and supported, why not? Why don't we get a look at Jet Cleary next year? Why can't we sort of, wait? I don't really want to be waiting too long to 27 for him to get an opportunity. If he's ready, then he's ready. And there's play. Remember, I'm not sure what age Reece Walsh came to us, but he didn't get an opportunity with the Broncos, and he came straight to us. I'm not sure if he was 18 or 19, but if you got the talent and the goods, you can play in this league. You can play and you should get an opportunity. Yep, that's a fair call. Isaac Licker should have filled the centre spot position for several games instead of Capewell. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. For me, still, I need my guys. I need Leatoa, Berry, and another to be ready to go. If that's Fatialofa, or I'm not sure who else we got in the centres now that MGW's gone. I don't expect Harper will get a shot anytime soon. So maybe there's a spot there to go and recruit an actual centre. We will have to wait and see. So obvious that we don't have the depth to compete over a long season. Yeah, and although we know that we made the finals and we did wonderful, if you actually look at the back end of that season after Metcalf went down, and Tanner Boyd, did a great job filling in, but we could have actually been 2-7. If you take away the 3 HIAs from the Dragons game, and if you actually take away the Leka Halasima miracle at the end of that game, we possibly could have been 2-7, and fairly. I thought all those teams lower than us actually could have beaten us. So there's an argument to say, like, we can't compete for a long term, and we were on a decline quite quickly after the mid part of the season, after that third bye. For me, I don't care if we start strong with C&K or LNW. What I've seen in round 27, that's what I will probably see again next year. And that's why I don't want to jump the gun on if we have a hot start, because I've seen pretty much the pattern under Webby that we do tire and we don't seem to have the troops through in the back end of the season. There is a drop off. So I'm basing my view next year on that. Who are the actual players that can compete through a whole season? One of them is Pompey. He's actually has durability. His game can hold up across the season. Lecker, I think after a bit more time, he will have that longevity. CHT, to his credit and the level that he's playing at, can kind of sustain a long season. Fish, although maybe some of his performance have been inconsistent, he can actually sustain to his level. Aaron Clark, another one that has the legs to go long, and to be fair to Aaron, he has probably maintained a really good standard. So there's some players that you're thinking can, and there's maybe some players that the engine fluctuates. Amarata, Capewell was great from Origin, but then kind of dipped a little bit and came back up, maybe. Or Egan, you're seeing another fluctuation from Egan towards the end of the year with injuries. So it's, for me, it's about finding those players that can play long-term minutes, and maybe with the development of our youth, we might be we might find ourselves peaking a bit better. It's the peaking and timing of your run, isn't it? To get yourself in a spot to the later stages of the year really be lifting. And I think that's the benefit of the good teams, that they've started to peak at the right time. Yep, I think so. Jai Linane, that's another one. Yeah, and I forgot about Linane. Again, it's a recruitment, but it's an injured player. So I'm interested to see what Linane can do. But similar to Mellars and a few of these guys that we are recruiting, there's a habit to recruit players with injury history, and I suppose that's why you get them for cheaper. But then there's going to be an element of developing them. There's going to have to be an element where you have to give them time to heal up and get minutes in them. So I'm not sure what the projection for Lane is. I'm sure Webby will have and we'll know pretty much after preseason. After preseason, you kind of start to see Webby's structure and his kind of depth chart. And if Lanane's starting to really be in the mix, like I remember I had Tamari and can't remember if it was Metcalf at the start of the season, and then it was pretty much, I think I had Luke Metcalf and Tamari as the house partner, and then it was pretty much CHT and Luke, and that was set in stone from start of the season. So who knows where Linane might fit, but with some of these boys like Mellors and Linane with their injury history, you want to sort of get a feel, make sure that everything's structurally sound before you really start to lay them into first grade reps. We have too many back rowers. Someone might need to transition to centre, more likely EIT or Fatsiolofa. Well, yeah, that's the other argument, isn't it? Do you move someone out into a centre role? And what does that look like? Not anything yet on Simonson. I haven't heard. Khan Pereira, yeah, we just had a quick chat about that south side. That Khan, I think it's a good option. I think he can be worked on. But the fact that we're looking at Khan, if it's true, and if he does get signed, it's saying, look, we think that we need to move forward with a bit more speed. So let's see what happens with that for sure. How's Gannon done? People, I just feel when we signed him, we didn't realize how good our young forwards were going to be. Yeah, I see Gannon more of as a utility. I can't give you an extra evaluation. I haven't watched much of Gannon. He's a back rower. I'm sure he can play lot. I could see him as a Bailey Suriname. That's how I kind of see him. But we'll have to wait and see. There's a genuine shout that these boys that come over from England. What was it, Nicholson? That was the back rower at the Raiders before he got injured. Actually at the Raiders, they've always had good back rowers. So the quality in the back row position from England, if this is a good one, we might be seeing the replacement of a Capewell here, or Morata, or another a utility for the locking position that could provide you more cover. So I don't want to put limits yet on Gannon. I want to see what he comes with. But he might be seen if it's really his work rate. If his work rate can be quite high, he might be a little bit of a gamble with his HIA history. So there's probably issues around his tackle technique, all those things. So there's probably a bit of cleanup work to do with him. So I imagine he'll go into cup and tidy up in his areas. But again, we'll see at the end of preseason. Remember when Jackson Ford was starting? We were like, what the heck? who's Jackson Ford? We didn't know who he was. And for the last 3 years, we've been talking about Jacko as being a regular first grader. So we will see in that depth chart come end of February next year where Gannon sits. Yeah, the boy runaway, it was magical. My concern was that we didn't finish that off, and you got to take your points when you can get them, right. That's what I call about seizing the moment. You got to get over the line. You got to score points, and I thought we great to defend, but we can defend all we want. We needed to score points in that game to put pressure on Penrith, but it just wasn't to be. Metcalf and Barney, yeah, we will go well, I think, but there still needs to be some upgrades made in the back lines, sure, in my view. I've always viewed the season similar to what the Raiders had in 24. It was a season focused on blooding young players instead of playoffs. The fact we made the playoffs was impressive. Yeah, again, I expect with our young forwards and the experience they've got after another preseason, and kind of they'll start to cement a lot of that rotation. So there's some really good positive signs. I mean, I actually liked a lot of the forward work that we were doing. I liked EIT I liked what Laban was doing. Lecker, of course, Dimitrix rounding out really well. Another bit of development over the off season will support that. Stowell Smith is kind of developing and getting big minutes, which is great for him. So that's why I think you're seeing the dropping of a Bunty R4 and a Tom Ale, because Tennis Stowell Smith that can kind of do that role. So yeah, there's a lot of potential, man. There's absolutely a lot of potential. My issue is the backline, an aging backline of Dallin, Roger, and CNK. We haven't addressed that in the last 3 years. We've gone for the age and experience. Is it time to actually finally get two young wingers in there? And we take a bit of a hit, obviously, with development. But is it time for a Sio Kali? Is it time for a Khan Pereira? Is it time for us to look at a new fullback to move into the new era? Just trying to throw that out there as something we need to look at. And potentially, if Rocco Berry can't stay fit, I think this next year is probably his last year in terms of my patience level for him being healthy. If he can't quite get that, he needs to play a minimum of 18 games for me, or close to 20, for me to really warrant him being long term. So that would be kind of my pass mark. I had the same. If you guys remember, I said I want to see Metcalf get healthy. Play a full season. It didn't happen. So technically, by that barometer, I wouldn't invest in Metcalf. But I thought the output that he provided, particularly in the clutch and the X factor and his running game, his connection with CHT actually overrides that. And we're probably looking at a long-term investment with him. But there is still that concern for injury. Berry, because he hasn't been able to give us anything apart from a few games, and I respect kick chase. Kick chase is fantastic, but we still need output. And if we can't get you on the field regularly, then that's a no for me. Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so, my man Carl. For sure, bro. Okay, while hitting the straps down the left wing. Yeah. Rumors on Simonson if he wants to move to Gold Coast for business opportunity, whatever that is, explains. Yeah, okay. Who are these old boys on the last years of their deal next season? RTS, Cape Wide, new quarter. Yeah. Again, I'm of the mindset, and I know it's hard to get rid of players as such. You can't just cut them, and unless they got places to go to, you pay their wages. But I would like to see a transition to youth again. New quarter for me has reached his max of what he can do. If Liquor or whoever else is viewed as they can do what his output is now, I'd be more than happy to let him go. But again, we can't seem to offload contracts. like other clubs. But that for me is kind of like I need to move on from New Korea and start moving into the future. And they've been great servants, but it's time. It's time to start moving forward. I agree. Boyd is a placeholder, and with Jet Cleary, if he's ready, people will have to remember Bradford at the first grade 17, Joey 19. Yeah, if they're ready, they're ready. Again, I go back to Reece Walsh. Even he was ready to go at that age, and I'm just wondering maybe if Jet's not ready, that's fine. But let's not let's get a look at him. There's also the argument that look, he might end up going back to Penrith. Maybe his dad sees him as he had to develop. I like, and I love Ivan, but who's to say Ivan might not pull the pin on and say, "Hey, I want him back at Penrith." Like that's I think where people get rosy tinted glasses on. You think, "Oh, Jed's going to be our next half of like who's to actually say that that's going to happen?" I'm not gonna say that it won't happen, but my argument is, what's set in stone that he will. And maybe this is just a stepping stone for him to go back to Penrith. So why not? Why can't we have a little look and see what that might look like for us? And yeah, why can't that be next year? If he's ready, like for me, if they're ready, let them play. They come to, yep, yeah, that's fair, and that's a fair call too. I'm only projecting that I, I don't think Tanner Boyd is going to give you more than what he's given. If I saw that Tanner Boyd could actually carry us into the future, then I would back him and actually give Luke Metcalf a six role because I think Luke's got a grade at that. But I think his ceiling is what he's given us, and it's a good solid ceiling. And imagine if he had a Barnett and a bit more solidity in other positions, he can steer the team around and provide that solidity. But if I see him personally as a placeholder for Jet Cleary, and if there comes a time in the season next year, um, I'm willing to gamble that as a fan because I want to see what the future looks like. And whoever the club views as the next halves by, you know, I think Metcalf is going to get his deal done, and I think we're going to see this team pretty much playing with Metcalf as the starting half or one of the halves, um, right till I'd say till 28, um, 29 into 28, maybe 3 year deal. Um, but I want to see who that next halves part. I don't think CHT is the long term answer. Um, and I'd like to see if Jet is the future that could be with a Metcalf next year. He made his big Reynolds piece again. Has a really good season over there, so hopefully, okay, we'll have to have a watch again as well, guys. Keep an eye out for him if you've seen the footage. It's just because I don't get Super League on the Sky. I probably haven't really watched too much of it, but yep, yeah, we've talked about that. Tone, yeah, we need a little bit of an overhaul. We need to start to get into that. Compare it, not past the point, Ted, of um, being free to talk. So let's wait and see what the club are gonna do. But yeah, we'll wait on that one. Yeah, and Metcalf has started negotiations. We'll see what the figure comes out to. I'm sure it's close to 1 million. It might end up being 900K. I think from what I've read or heard that the club kind of pulled out a little bit once he had the ACL, and rightfully so. He is, for 3 seasons, he's only played maybe up to a season's worth of games over 3 seasons, or maybe just a season and a half. You look at other halves in the comp; they are playing almost nearly every game. So there's that added risk, and maybe the club need to find an offer that works best. But then again, you got the likes of Perth coming through that will be looking and knocking on the door saying, "Hey, we're getting some cap relief will take you for 1.2. So club need to be a bit more active and get the job done. CNK DWZ still got. Yeah, that's the struggle, bro. Dom. Personally, I would offload all three and move forward. I know it's a bit ruthless, but we can't get rid of them. And I imagine CNK and Dallin and RTS will be the starting back three next year, which for me is I'd be moving to bring in youth to blood in whoever we think is the next best winger. I go back to Manu and he had a shocker, he had a howler first his debut, but you don't know how they'll go until you play them. You don't know. So Seal Kali, as much as we can hype him up in cup, we really don't know what he'll look like until he gets out there on the field. He might be a game breaker. He could be, but I'd like to know. Like, I know what I'm going to get from Roger. I know what I'm going to get from Dallin. I don't think I'm going to see any more from Dallin than what I'm already seeing. I think his level he's reached his level. He's even actually on the decline. And I'm not talking about defensive reads jamming. I'm talking about just general play, errors, all those things. I'm actually interested in moving into the future. Yeah, New Cordes deal. Rumor is Parramatta want either New Cordia or Capewell. Maybe trade for. Yeah, maybe Ado Car would be nice. Listening to Ivan's present, I got the vibes that once this dynasty is over, he's going to step down as coach and join us as technical advisor. Yeah. But we got to live in the now. I can't wait till 2030. Yay, Ivan's here. Okay, what have we done? I think there's potential for us to win now without Ivan. And maybe Ivan comes along and that's fantastic as well. But I'm like, we need to improve. So my thinking is, look, we might need to upgrade some of our assistant coaches. We need to get more of a robust attacking coach that can really look and dissect how we can improve our attack. That's an area I would definitely try and look at. I would have someone in Webby's ear that might challenge him. I don't think Webby's system is foolproof and that we should completely trust it. I think there's room for looking at the attacking side and realizing what are we lacking and what can we improve. So that's where I'd look to firstly before even Ivan. You don't know if Ivan will come, but I'll be looking at making some adjustments in the assistant coaches space. Yeah, that's a fair shout too, but you just never know. You never know with Aussie boys and Aussie kids. I wouldn't bank on it, but who knows? Who's to know that he might not get a big offer from another Aussie club? But I'm hoping he stays. Metcalf 6, check 7. Let's see what the future holds. Yeah, and maybe CHT does move into the middle. He's a bit more solid, isn't he? He's a lot more solid than Tamaiti. Yeah, we better not do that against our man Josh. It will cause frustration. It will cause frustration. Killer saying went to cool as car was talking to one of the bros who's good mates. The main motive is family, so his signing is basically guaranteed. Wow. Big up Killer. Big up my man Killer. Good to see you, brother. So Killer, can you just expand? Because I know he grew up in Aussie, but has he got family back in NZ? Like, what is it? Close family? So yeah, that sounds like that's going to happen. If that's family purposes, yeah, that's really cool. To try. Big up Licky, my man. Oh, that I mean that could be too. Yeah, and could see Tame moving it. And I've been a big advocate for Tame, but it has been 3 years now of sitting in the shadows of a C&K. I think 3 years is an ample time for um for someone to and a club to evaluate someone and pretty much say we don't think you're the starting fullback for us moving forward. That could change. I don't know, but imagine if a Yongi was sitting behind a C&K in the wings. Do we think Webby would really stop Yongi from taking that starting spot and moving C&K to somewhere else? Obviously, the centres to kind of fill in for a space there. I think there's something that the club has pretty much said that we see that is your limit. You're a great backup. You do a great job. I rate him highly, but ultimately they might not view him as that long term person. Big up to Killer. He knows. Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah, he has heaps of fun at back home. Play footy with him at Keeper Park. All the boys still well in touch. So good to get some news there. Okay, well, I actually, based on what Killer's got sharing with me, I think Campera will go through. Um, I think that one's going to go through. Based on what Killer's saying, so he'd be close to that from what he's sharing. That it's a family thing, and I think the Titans are willing to let him talk. His agent will be in discussions um, with Cam George as long as Webby ticks it off. Webby signs off on it. Then I think they're going to go for it. I think they will go for it. I think Webby's too loyal to the vets. Probably does need a coach who can challenge him. Maybe a New South Wales Cup. Yeah, I thought Tanga Tatoa has done a great job um, with the Cup boys. Look how they performed. Obviously, a tough task against a Dragons team that were bringing a few guys back into their Cup team, and that's kind of where it can be tricky every year. You get almost NRL level Cup players coming in. So, but they got another chance. But I think he's been a fantastic coach. I really think he's been a fantastic coach, and I think he's done a wonderful job. So, why can't he get an opportunity? And another one is a TJ Ashford, who's killed it at Harold Matt's level. And I'm sure there's a long term pathway for him to getting into an assistance role. There could be other opportunities for a lot of other assistants to come through, but Tanga Tatoa for me would probably be the first guy on the cab that I want to be up promoting. That might mean you have to let go of a Stacey or an Agar. I'm okay with that because young and exciting coaches, assistant coaches, come in with new ideas. We saw that with Slade Giffrin, and why can't we see that with a Tanga Tatoa? Just bringing some new ideas, challenging the coach, and your assistant coaches are there to assist you and be a soundboard for you. So that's how I see it. And maybe we just need more people as a soundboard to really kind of question our coach and say, hey, could we try this? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some out and out pace and centers there. Philip Sami, I know Ash is big on Philip Sami. What maybe we'd like to invest in him. Jojo Jafida, Fafita. There are some out and out guys. So again, I'll be interested to see the club's movements. I think we do really well in the pathway space. I just saw we've signed PJ Marsh's son. He looks quite well. I mean, you look at Sam Healy, another one that recruited well at that age level. Looking forward to Mellars. We're looking forward to the Fatiolofas coming through, all the ones through development that have cracked it, they all look very good. Um, so, but is there an opportunity for Brian Keller or Philip Sami, someone with a bit more NRL experience, someone that Webby can develop them and defensively into the system that meet the measurables and provide speed that could help us pick up the scoring numbers. As you guys know, we're probably one of the lowest scoring teams in the comp. I think we were below even some bottom 8 teams in terms of how many points we scored, and obviously the difference is that we defended our points, so we didn't leak as many. But you don't want to be in the situation where you're in Knights where your defense is insane, but you can't score points at any clip. So, and just on that, they've signed Holbrook, which I'm sure will lift their attack up a bit more and give them a bit more consistency. So we need to kind of match those numbers from an attacking and a defensive standpoint as a team to kind of keep the pressure on, and keep the separation throughout games. That's just something that we need to look at. You did listen. That's good. But I think our backline severely lacks speed, especially in the era today where you have a speedy, strong support running game. Yeah, well, there's that too, and then you're adding in Pompey and RTS on that left edge. There's no one in that edge that can really break open with speed. So both edges relatively are quite slow. So yeah, and maybe if you got a speedy center and winger, maybe CHT looks even better. But then again, you look at the trending of the 5/8 position, not in all teams, but you're looking at Ethan Strange, all of the running 5/8s. They do have a fair amount of speed and love to run the ball at the line as an actual running option, which I don't think quite at this time that's a CHT is more of a. It's like having another 7 or a game manager on as a 6. So that's another argument to look at a genuine 6 that can really open up the game as a ball runner. Yeah, I think that might be a sentiment that is shared amongst a lot of people. Kidwell. Oh, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Good old Kidwell. The key is in the we. Absolutely. It actually makes sense. The game plan does seem to be one-way traffic in the red zone. Yeah, it's an area that definitely is it is a concern. Seeing Licker be the first forward to win top try scorer for the Warriors is awesome, but at the same time, can't have to think that's too bad. It's bad too. Kind of says a lot about, I'd say, Bucks production level. Yeah, production across the back line was quite low, barring Pompey. And, we love Pomps, but if Pompey is one of your top try scorers, it's telling you that there's not much else happening around in the other parts of the field. And Dallin, he's definitely a try scorer that he needs good service. He obviously had one of his better years with SJ providing those options for him, and his numbers have obviously dropped off massively. C and K, 2 tries for the year, and he's more of a defensive type and yardage type fullback. But even Dylan Edwards, I think, had 6 or 7 tries. You look at a Hamiso with 22 tries from the fullback position. KO Weeks with, I think, 11 or 12 tries. There is output from different fullbacks in the comp that actually give you scoring ability. So that's another one where you want some more production from every part of your field, especially your wingers and your centers. But yeah, Leka and Pompey, I think Metcalf might have been at the time. So, you know, 3 or 4 areas, you definitely want more out of those spots. That's I'm Mickey. I'm thinking that that's the way forward. Now, people will probably be short lived if those four if we get four of those new positions with development players and younger players, and if we really bomb out, I'm okay with it. I think you have to bite the bullet at some point if you're going to bring in a development player. Where we bit the bullet this year and let the young boys play, and look what they did. We saw growth in EIT, we saw growth in Laban, we saw growth in Leka and Dimitri, and he let them play. So if those outside backs are ready, then let them play. Let them play. Seal Kali's been in Cup, 2 years now? Um, let him play. Let him play, in my opinion. We need to improve our red zone attack, maybe 1 or 6. It's more creative. That could be a Jet or Tane. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the support play hasn't been there. I think players are playing to play through the set. So, you put the short ball to the back rower, you go reload immediately for the next play, as opposed to thinking, what if the back rower gets his arm free and he can offload to me and I follow through? And I think we were kind of dead last in line breaks this year. I'm not sure if that stat's legit true, but like again, we're not breaking the line at a regular clip either way. So that tells you that support play is quite low at the moment, and we've struggled with support play and offloads and those things based on our game model. So, but that can get you an extra few points, isn't it, from that type of play? No point having speedy wingers without good players inside them. Yeah, that's a fair point too. Um, and it goes the same for no point having yardage wingers without good players inside them as well. But yeah, you need to improve the inside players. But having speed can benefit. But yeah, you need the players to put the passes on them. You need the halves to create for them. All those things. So um, yeah, guys, I'm going to go for another 5 or so minutes. Just while we're kind of wrapping up, it's been really good to kind of talk with you guys this evening. 61 of you guys in here. If I could get the likes up to 50, that'd be fantastic. I see we're on 21 right now. Thank you for everyone that's put their likes and their subscribes this year. It's been massive thus far. And every one of our channel members, you have been absolutely amazing. I suppose what I'm leading to, guys, is that this will be the last club rooms for the year. Um, the reasoning for that is, yeah, I've reached a physical and a mental load with content this year that I need to kind of um, settle back down and realign with my family and life in general. And it's not to say the Warriors have taken away from me. I've done like I said, I've done content because I love doing it. I love doing these club rooms. I love chatting footy with people. I've met some amazing people through the space. I've done some amazing things. And this community means a lot to me. But I just need to have a break personally from live streams. And I say specifically live streams because I'll still be doing content in terms of pre-recorded stuff. Uh, Thank you, Mickey. Yeah, 24/7. Yeah, I wish I could. But what I'm saying there is it's not the end of the year. I'm going to be doing obviously pre-recorded stuff, and also covering the Pacific Champs. But in terms of watch-alongs and other shows, it's just need to kind of settle down and prep for the future. And how does that impact members? Well, I'm going to be putting out a video sometime next week to kind of talk about how things will be going moving forward, at least. And we respect everyone and their hard-earned money, and want to show value for that. So that video will come out for our members very, very soon. But in saying that, we still got another show to do tomorrow night with Ash. And I've spoken with Ash, and Ash has been busy doing his stuff as well. He's putting out content, amazing content with Brody, and we come to that agreement, like, let's have a break from the live streaming space. So we're gonna have our last show tomorrow night. We're gonna do a full deep dive. We're gonna do full player ratings, full end of season review. We'll give our absolute best tomorrow night to make sure that you guys can go away from at least from Wires Up TV, feeling as though, we covered most of it, and no doubt you get it from all your other places. This Warriors Live, Warriorholic, they'll no doubt have their content too. So we're not saying, but from a Wires Up TV space, we will kind of, tomorrow will be our final night for live streams this year. But you'll expect us to do all of our pre-recorded for match previews, match reviews, and for our members and our Discords and other spaces, we'll still be chatting. But just appreciate that, everyone. Going with the whole year, forward passes, man, they are absolutely ridiculous. Team X saying Tuopiki Kali, free agent, could be. Fatilofa Leotoa, Pompey Leotoa, that's another one. AKP, CHT Metcalf, and CHT Metcalf could work actually for a while, but Fish, Healy, might be time for Healy, Barnett, Lecker, Laban, 13, Gannon, 14, Vaimonga, forward, EIT. Oof, that's actually not a bad team right there. Again, like that team for me could actually be, another way to kind of moving into the future. So let's have a wait and see. Southside, man, I appreciate you, brother. You've been awesome, man. I'm very grateful for you, man. Hire me full time. Thank you, my man. We appreciate it, really appreciate you coming on as well. Hairstyle Smith will improve, maybe get an offload license. We'll have to wait and see. I really do have to think we'll have to wait and see. If we end up getting AKP from Titans, that will be him, Aaron Tanwa. That Webby would have reignited or shown for the potential from the club to sort of welcome Kenny Mamola. that would be great. Thank you, Dom. It's not the end as such, but it's it's good meeting you this year, and obviously the comms we've had. I really do appreciate it. Might have to go to that Kiwis game at Eden Park. I'll definitely try and do things like that. Do some vlogs going to the games, the Pacific Champs games. So stuff like that is massive. I'm still going to be doing stuff, but the commitment of the evenings, especially my wife, and that's almost 4 hours and over 2 nights. You want to make sure that all of our whānaus, our partners are happy, and she's sacrificed that time that we could be spending, and she knows this is my passion and I love it, but I just want to give her that. Now that the season's over, I want to give her that time back. But man, I really do want to go to Kiwis. Can't wait actually for Pacific Champs. Love and blessings, Wano. Safe, bro. Killer, as much love to you as always. Good to see you as well. Amazing season. This far. Wise up to you. Big up Levi, bro. Even the cousin Josh. Nah, we really appreciate that, man. Good to see Josh as well. Daniel Berry Sports. Now, one last thing before I say, Daniel Berry Sports. If this is you, Daniel, I think Daniel Berry Sports highlights. I've actually seen him. I was following because I'm into NFL. I follow the 49ers, and I went and watched one of the live streams from one of the 49ers content creators, and I saw Daniel Berry Sports highlights come up in the live stream as a comment. And I looked up Daniel, and I figured out what he does. He cuts up videos, I think, for NBA, NFL. I think, Daniel, you even do live streams, man. So I think you're American. I didn't realize you might be an NRL fan, but big up to you, my man. And yeah, so give Daniel a follow. He's doing content, I think, for Lakers, stuff like that. So big yourself up, Daniel, man. Thank you very much. You've always been kind to um, pop in and share a comment whenever you're available. So big yourself up, my brother. Thank you. Everything good. I've seen Leon. I'll keep updated, and I see the enterprise having lunch here in Surfers per. Yeah, man. If you see any agents over there, bro, let us know. And passport, man, you've been good. Um, like I said, I'd still, like to keep in touch in chats and even group calls. Things that aren't that are more off the cuff, where it's not set in stone what time I can do it. I think that's where I'm kind of moving to. Still want to be in touch with people. I'll get FOMO anyway, but you know what I mean. Shout out to Penrith who got hit by a street smart car after the game. Oh, okay. Yeah, man. Shout out to them. Hope they're okay. Um, Bro, Spectre, you're killer, my man. You've actually been really, really good. And Killer, yeah, join the Discord. Join the Discord, Killer. Pacific Champs, yeah, bro. I can't wait for it. I'm really worried for the Kiwis, bro. From a Kiwis perspective, I, I can't. I want to see the team list, but I really think, yeah, I think it's Tonga or Samoa's time to shine a little bit. Probably Tonga because they got Katoa. But it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Thank you, Ren. She knows it. She knows what's up. She's the producer, bro. To be honest, she's the one that watches the stream and says, "Hey, why'd you do that? You shouldn't have done that." So I get it from her after the show anyway, man. But yeah, man, much love. Uh, Seahawks is a Seahawks man. Okay, passport, you got to go, bro. Nah, much love to the Seahawks, bro. Yeah, Mac Jones got that dub. I think it was today. Yeah, but thanks, man. But yeah, Killer, go and check go to the page. In my community post, there's the join button. There's the Discord link. I need to probably re-upload it, but we'll get you in there anyway, bro. But guys, that's it for the show tonight. Again, like I said, this isn't the last show. This is just the last club rooms. But we're going to be back again tomorrow night for the finale with me and Ash tomorrow night. So come in at 8 p.m. and we're going to do a deep dive. Might go 2-3 hours. We'll see how we go, but we'll break down as much as we can. Again, I just want to do a massive shout out from myself to you guys. The club rooms was something that I wanted to do to get all of our members the opportunity to say what they want to say. On nights where you can't quite get your comments out, with me and Ash actually doing breakdowns, and I click on comments to bring them up, but I can't address them. So I'm very grateful to all of you, and I can't do this without having members that want to share their thoughts. And I want a big shout out to everyone in the chat, and even the ones that are members that aren't here tonight, that they always give their thoughts. Um, you know, give their thoughts and energy to writing down their thoughts about the game and allowing me to talk off that. And I've been able to make content based on your guys' questions and comments. And you're kind enough to do that. And I'm kind enough and want to do and talk with you. Very smart footy people in this chat. I don't claim to know everything. I'm grateful for everything that you guys do. But I just want to get that out before, I don't get another chance when I've got you all here to share my love with each and every one of you, our members this year. You guys never fail. You are the best communities in rugby league, in my opinion. We've got the best community here as a fan base. I've got faithful people, moderators. You know who you are. Always step up and always bring the energy each and every time. So, guys, I'll leave it there. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Up the wires as always. Stay safe, people. See you at 8 p.m. NZ time tomorrow. Peace. And I'm out.